Hi, it's Assam, and in this video, we're going to go deep into the high-ticket sales call structure that we follow as an agency to close about 20 to 40% of cold traffic. And in this video, I'm going to I'm going to tell you everything. It's like a masterclass, so I'm going to show you every single thing, like from the questions you need to ask, like in discovery, in pitch, in price drop, and objection handling as well. We'll see if we get into objection handling if we have time, but I'll show you the exact framework here. Okay, so let's get right into it without wasting time. Okay, so firstly, just to like give you a rough overview, this is how it goes. There's discovery, where you like find out more about them, learn like how you can actually help them, and like what their business is going to get by working with you, and like all of that kind of stuff, why they want to do this and what they're doing currently, just to see if like you can help them. Okay, so you ask questions in discovery that like help you find out more about them. Okay, and then you pitch them, and in the pitch obviously you're discussing features, right? Sorry, you're discussing benefits, not features. I'm sorry. And then you do the price drop, and then if you handle the objections if they have any. Okay, cool. So let's get into these one by one. Okay. So first you frame the call. First, like you get on the call, you just say, "Hi, how you doing?" That's it. Okay. You don't ask about their grandma. You don't ask about the weather. You're not like talking about shit. Okay. Just get in. You're like, "Hi, this is Assam. How are you doing?" "Oh, I'm doing good." "Okay, cool. Where are you talking?" "Oh, Eastern time." "Very good." That's it. And then you frame the call. You're like, okay, cool. So how this call is going to go, John? I'm going to start out by asking some questions just about yourself and the business, just to understand like where you guys are right now specifically. And if I feel like we can help, we can take it from there. How does that sound? That's how you frame it. You stay firm on this. If they push back and if they're like, oh, I'm not open to like answering questions. You just stay firm. You just like, okay, cool. This is how the call is going to go. We naturally like have to ask these questions because we need the understanding to actually be able to help you. Are you open to answering some questions just to see if I can actually help you? And then if they still push back, so most of the times like people are like, okay, cool, I am open to like answering the questions. And then you just ask the questions. But if they still push back, you're like, um, okay, cool, John. It seems like it's like very hard for you to answer these questions. But like as I said, I do need these questions answered to see if I can help you. If you're not open to answering these questions, we can just end the call here, and that's that. Like you just end the call because like if you don't get them to answer these questions, and if you don't have these questions at the top of mind, then they're just not gonna buy. Like if you're selling something high ticket and you don't have these questions answered, like if you don't know what problem they're dealing with, where they want to go, and what are the consequences of not going there, then they're just not gonna buy. I'm just telling you straight up. So frame the call, tell them, okay, I need to ask questions, and if you're open to it, we'll go on. If not, we can just part ways here. That's that. That's all you're doing in the first thing. Okay. Now, next step. Now you need to understand their current situation. Here, all you're doing here, you're not doing anything fancy. You're just understanding what kind of business you're dealing with, and we're doing that just to see if we can actually help them. Okay. So you ask them questions like, oh, what services are you guys providing? What like how much do you guys charge, or like what areas you serve, or like what is your crew size, whatever, right? You know your questions, you know your niche, so you should already know these questions. As I said, the purpose of these questions is just to like know if the business you're speaking to is the business you can actually help get to their goal. Okay, because like that's the most important thing here. Because like if you don't feel like you can help them, you just won't have the conviction, and conviction is like the main thing in the pitch here. Okay, so just understand the business. And next you're asking their current revenue and then their goal revenue. Okay, so this structure, this just has to flow naturally. There's no such script or like template that I can give you. This is just like a flow. It's like a framework. Okay, because like if you're following a script, you just sound monotone, and that's just not what we want. Okay, so that's why I'm not giving you any script, because I want you to have a framework in your head, so that way like when you're on a call, you're not like, oh fuck, what's the next question. When you're on a call, you're just focusing on the conversation and you're actually listening to the person. Because in high ticket sales, active listening is more important than any script I could give you. Okay? So you just have to like listen to the person. And that's the only reason I don't have a script here. Instead, I have a structure, a framework that like works every single call. Okay? So you ask them about their current revenue. They're like, okay, cool. So how much revenue is the business making right now? Oh, we're making 10K a month. Okay, cool. 10K a month. Okay, cool. And what's like the goal? Where do you want to be? Oh, we want to be at like 50K a month. Okay, cool. Now you have a current situation and a desired situation. And now we want to create a gap between these. That's what we're going to do in the isolate problem stage. So isolate problem, you just be like, okay, cool. So you mentioned you're at 10K a month and you wanted to get to 50K, correct? Yes. Okay, cool. So what would you say is like the biggest problem that's holding you back from getting to that 50K a month, if anything? You ask that, okay? Then they will tell you what's the problem that's holding them back, right? And then they'll come back and be like, oh, we just don't have the leads to actually scale to 50K, or like, oh, we just don't have the appointments to like get to the 50K. We have appointments to like make 10K a month, but like we just need to like scale that, and we just need more appointments to get to that 50K. That's the biggest problem. And then you dig deeper in that problem. All we're trying to do, okay, all we're trying to do in this isolate problem stage, we're trying to create doubt, we're trying to create uncertainty and pain. It might sound like Machiavellian or like rough or whatever you call it, but that's how you close high ticket deals. Like, you have to put them in pain. You have to show them the reality of the situation. Okay, you can't be like, oh wow, like you aren't booking appointments. That's okay, John. That's completely fine. We'll fix that. No, here you're just creating doubt and pain. You're just be like, if they're like, oh, we don't have the appointments to get to that 50K a month, you're like, okay, cool. Why would you say that that's the biggest problem? You dig deeper, and they're like, oh, we've been trying to book appointments for like a couple months now, and we haven't booked appointments, and it's like really not good for us. And it's like, okay, then you're like, okay, cool. And has that had an effect on the business in any way? You tie that down to like the business first. And then they're like, okay, yeah, in the business as well, like we're not booking appointments, the team's morale is going down, and X, Y, and Z, the business is suffering. And then once you've tied it to the business, then you make it personal. Like once first you do business and then you go personal. I do it this way because like it's easier for people to open up about the business first, and then once they've like opened up, then they're more likely to tell you about the personal stuff because they've already opened up about the business, right? Does that make sense? Cool. So then you ask them about like, okay, cool. Now we've like, has that had an effect on the business? Now, did that affect you in any way personally? And then they'll tell you, oh yeah, the team's morale has gone down, and that's like not the best thing for me. And it gets like very uncertain as well. Like you don't know where the appointments are going to come from or where the leads are going to come from. And then you like empathize with that. You're like, yeah, man, that sucks. Sounds stressful, man. And then they're like, yeah, it is stressful. And then you like dig deep into the numbers. Here, you're like trying to create as much uncertainty as possible. I'm sounding very Machiavellian, and but this is how it is, okay? I'm not going to bullshit you. I'm not going to lie to you, okay? I'm not going to be like one of those gurus who are like, oh, you just have to like be kind to people and then they're going to be, no, okay? I'm just going to tell you what it is, okay? I'm not going to lie to you, okay? So then you go in the numbers, try to create more uncertainty. You're like, okay, cool. So like help me, like walk me through your process here, man. Like how many appointments are you guys booking right now? Just to understand. And then they're like, oh, we're booking like 2 appointments a week. And then you're like, 2 appointments a week. Pause, let them digest that, and then you're like, are you happy with that? Then they're gonna, no, of course I'm not happy with that. And then you're like, okay, cool, so how many do you want? Again, we're trying to create that doubt again. So like, how many do you want? Then they'll tell you, oh, we want 10 a week. And then you're like, okay, cool, you're at 2 a week, you want to get to 10 a week, okay? Then what you do is you summarize the problem, okay? Now we're at the end of the problem stage, okay? So you summarize it. You're like, okay, cool. So the biggest problem here, so the biggest problem that I feel like here is you guys just don't have enough appointments and you need more volume of appointments. Would you agree with me on that? You get them to agree with you, okay? And then they're like, okay, yes, I am. Like, I'm sure this is the problem. Yes, good to go. Here, really, really important thing, if they don't give you a problem, like if they do not give you a problem, if they're on the sales call and they're like, and you ask them about like, oh, what's the biggest problem that's holding you back from getting to that 50K? And they're like, oh, I don't have a problem. I'm just like, I just joined this call just to see like what you guys have. That is not good, okay? If they're not giving you a problem, you cannot move forward, okay? Because no one's gonna pay you high ticket if they don't have a problem, okay? So just keep that in mind. So you just like, you have to dig that deep. You have to be like, okay, cool. So you mentioned like there's no problem holding you back. So you just try to clarify first. You just probe in a little bit. You just like, okay, cool. So there's no problem. So you do feel like with your current process in place, you can get to 50K a month, correct? And then they're like, yeah, maybe. And then you call out. You just like, you don't sound sure there, man. And then you'd be like, I mean, maybe I'm not like fully sure. So like, what makes you say that? You probe deeper, and then they'll be like, oh, because like our process is not that consistent, and then they'll give you like more problems that they're currently like encountering, right? And they'll be like, okay, so when you say it's not consistent, what do you mean by that? And then they'll be like, oh, because like we've tried to run the system and we're not booking that many appointments and we're just booking 2 appointments a week. And then you're like, okay, 2 appointments a week. I don't like to assume, but like someone just asked, are you happy with the 2 appointments a week? And then they'll be like, no, I'm not happy with the 2 appointments a week. Okay, cool. And like with the system that you're currently running, and it's booking 2 appointments, do you feel like you can get to 50K a month? And then they'll be like, no. Okay, cool. So to me, it just seems like from what we've spoke here, to me, it seems like the biggest problem here is like you guys need another system which can help you book appointments. And I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, so you can just call me out if I'm wrong. Would you like agree with me on that? And then they'll be like, yeah, it is. Maybe it is like the system that we need to add. And then if they say maybe, you're just like, oh, maybe. You don't sound sure then, man. Like, did I say something wrong? And then you have to like call it out. Like if they have doubt at any place, you just call it out. You just be like, you don't sound sure there, man. And then he'll tell you, oh no, like that is the problem. We need to add a system. Now, if someone is like very, very egotistical and they're just not giving you any problem, you just be like, okay, cool. So it seems like everything's going fairly well for you. Let me ask you this. What would you say, what would you change about the process, if anything, if you could? And then they'll tell you, okay, maybe I would change like the lead nurturing process. And then you double down on that. You're like, why would you change that? And then they're like, oh, because like the lead nurturing process is not the best. We're just booking 2 appointments. We need more. And then you double down on that. Okay, cool. Why would you say that that's like the thing that you need to change? And then they'll give you more reasons. And then you go into the business again. We're just doing the same framework. Okay, so did that have an impact on the business? Oh yeah, like the leads are not nurtured, and we're just like not many are showing up. X, Y, and Z. And then you go personal. Okay, cool. So did that have an impact on you personally? Just same framework. Just like ask these specific questions if they're not giving you the problem. But like just to like reiterate, you need a problem. You cannot move forward without a problem at this stage of the call. Because if you do, they will not buy. Okay? Again, no one buys high ticket if they don't have a problem. Okay? Cool. So once you're through this part, we go here. What they've actually done to fix this. Okay? Here, all you're asking, okay, cool. So have you tried anything in the past to solve this problem of appointment booking to get to that 50K? And then they're like, okay, we've done X. Here, all you're doing is finding out what they have done in the past, what it turned out to be, and like, did that have an impact on their decision-making process? And what I mean by that is like, if someone's burnt in the past and someone's like burnt by an agency before, they're going to be like less likely to buy on the first call because like they're going to be fearful, you know? So all we're trying to do is we're trying to find that out, okay? Now, we go here. With that in mind, why change now, right? So now that they've told us about their past experience, like what they've done before, now we ask, okay, cool. So with that in mind, what's the reason behind looking for potential help with this now, instead of just doubling down on what you've been doing and just do more of that, right? Now all we're asking them here is like, you've been burned before, we sucked. With that in mind, why do you want to change now? Why do you want someone to help you now? Because you've already been burned. And then they will tell you why they should change and why they should take someone else's help, which is really good. I'm not trying to seem Machiavellian. I'm just telling you how it's done. I'm just trying to help, okay? I'm not going to bullshit you. So next, we go in the desired situation. So at this point of the call, like they should know what their problem is, and they should know what their goal is, and they should also know that despite of the past experiences that they've had before, they still want to change and invest in something that can help them get to their goals, okay? So now we go in the desired situation. Here, what we're doing is we're asking them about what their desired situation is. So first we go tangible, then we go emotional, then we go feel-based, okay? Tangible-based questions are like, okay, cool. So you mentioned you are at 10K a month, correct? Yes. And you wanted to get to 50K, correct? Yes. Okay, cool. So, why, like, is the 50K like a long-term thing? And then they'll be like, no, like the long-term thing for me is like $1 million a month. $1 million a month. Why that specifically? Oh, because $1 million a month, like at that point, I would like have a lot of time to spend and X, Y, and Z. And then we'd be like, okay, cool. So why is the 50K per month important now, though? And then they'll give you a tangible answer. They'll be like, oh, because like so that way, like I have the team and the infrastructure that I need, so that way I can like scale to $1 million a month, and then like I can take myself out of the business. That's tangible. Now you have the tangible. Now you transition that tangible thing to emotional. Okay, and the way you do that is you ask, okay, cool. Okay, cool. So let's say we get your problem solved, John. You are at 50K. You have hired people who who are in a position who can take the load off of you, and you don't have to work that much. I guess how would life look like compared to where you are now? And then they'll tell you, oh, my life would be completely different. I wouldn't have to work this much. I'd be with my family. I would travel. I would do this, do that. And then you'd be like, okay, cool, man. I appreciate you sharing that with me. And when you say travel, like, do you have something in mind? Like, have you where would you go? So you just dig into their goals deeper now, and then they'll be like, oh, I really want to visit Greece once. I've never been to Greece, and I also want to go to Paris with my girlfriend, and that'd be really fun. And then you empathize with that. You're just like, yeah, man, that would be fun. I guess how would that feel, man, to finally have that time freedom to go wherever in the world that you wanted, so that and not have to worry about where the next not have to worry about where the appointments are going to be coming from or where the new clients are going to be coming from. Just ask them a field-based question, and then they'll be like, okay, yeah, that would be great. And then you've got desired situation there. And now once you have the desire, you have to like ask them about the consequences of not hitting their goals. Okay. So in the consequences, you just like ask them, okay, cool. So you mentioned you wanted to get there and it would feel really amazing. Now bring them back down. It's like, cool. With your current process in place, John, how close do you honestly feel you are to getting to that 50K and having that time freedom, man? So that way you can travel. Oh, like I don't have that much. I don't think we're that close yet. Okay, cool. So how long do you want to keep running the business in this way? Oh, I don't want to be running in this way. Like I want to scale. I want to grow fast. So for you, John, like what does it look like moving forward if you keep doing things the way you are? If you ask this question, then it will like get them to say the consequences of their problem here. They'll be like, if I keep running the business in this way, man, it would really suck, and like I would stay in the same place, which I don't want to be. It's really stressful, X, Y, and Z, right? And then obviously you create urgency. You ask them, okay, cool. So when they say like, oh, it would really suck and like really, really stressful for me, and then you'd be like, oh man, yeah, man, it does sound really serious. So man, so be honest with me, man, are you willing to settle for that? And then be like, no, why not? Tighten the grip. Oh, because like, why would I settle for that if I can do more? Oh, and then you ask the question. That creates urgency. You just be like, okay, so is now the time to actually do something about this, John? Yes, for sure. And then you go forward from there. Now you've created urgency. You've created commitment. And this is where like most think about objections come from. Like if there is no urgency at the end of the call where you like drop the price, you're like, okay, cool, this is the investment. And then they're like, oh, I'm just like, I don't want to invest now. I'll just wait. If someone's saying that to you, you fucked up in the consequence. You haven't created enough urgency. You haven't created enough commitment for them. Okay. So this is like the most important part, in my opinion, of the goal. No. Actually, this is the second most important part. The first most important part is the problem part. This is the most important, and this I would say is the second most important. Now, once you're done with this, you're done with discovery. This should take you 20 minutes, not more than that. I remember like when I started sales, I used to take like fucking 40 minutes to get through discovery, and that was too long. So just keep it to 20, because like if you take a lot of time in discovery, all the emotional pain and the problem and the urgency that you've created throughout discovery, it just goes off. Like the more time you spend, the harder it gets to close them. So like just get through this quickly, but like do it efficiently. Okay. Next, you just transition to pitch. You're just like, oh, cool, that's me done question-wise. I've got a solid understanding of where you are with the process. And then I do feel like we can help. Conviction. Is it okay if I show you how and why we can help? And then transition to the pitch. So this is discovery. I hope that's clear. Let's move on to the pitch, okay? If you guys have any questions about the discovery, you can leave them in the comments, okay? But yeah, that's so far. I feel like I've explained everything in the discovery section. Now we go to the pitch, okay? Cool. So as I said, the pitch is you describing your products in terms of the benefits that they will have, not features, okay? And here I'm going to add another point, which is very important, and that's conviction. Conviction is like the most important thing, and if you want to have conviction, you just got to have a good product, okay? Goes without saying, right? You cannot have conviction in something you don't believe in. And conviction is something that you cannot fake. You can never, ever, ever fake conviction. Okay? You can sound convincing, but like you cannot fake conviction, because conviction, I've noticed, comes from the heart. It comes from the heart. When you're speaking to someone and you genuinely feel like you can help the person, then it comes. Okay? So have a good product. That's all I can say to that, right? So yeah, pitch it in terms of benefits, not features. Okay, and I'm going to give you the entire like framework for the pitch, so don't worry about that. I got you. Okay, so but before we get into the framework, you got to keep this in mind. Customize every single pitch to every single prospect. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to customize it. Okay, so let's get into this. So first, you tell them about the problem they're facing. You just be like, okay, cool, Don. You mentioned like you weren't booking as many appointments. That's the problem. And then you go in the pain caused by the problem. So like you weren't booking as many appointments, which was causing like a lot of stress and uncertainty on your end. Okay, so we've shown the problem, shown the pain. Okay, and then you're like, which was causing a lot of stress and uncertainty on your end. And then you say how your product helps them solve that problem. So what we're gonna do for you specifically, John, is we're gonna build our appointment systems, which we have three different systems: an email, a DM, and a SMS system. And when we build those systems, what you can expect is 2 to 4 appointments every single day. And what that will do is it's going to make getting to that 50K per month so much easier, and without you having to stress about where the next appointment is going to come from. Okay? So now, if you see the way I've tied this with their problem, their pain, and I've just tied my like feature and shown them exactly how this feature will solve that problem, solve the pain that they're experiencing with that problem. And in doing all of this, I've just shown them the benefit of that thing. And if I say that to someone, they're going to be like, oh, fuck yes, this thing is for me. Because the way I said it, it just felt like, okay, cool, this was not scripted. Because it fucking wasn't, right? It was just something. It was just like a framework. That's what I want to like put in your head, man. It's like, this is a framework that you follow, okay? So if you can take anything from this, framework, okay? Do not have a script, have a framework, so that way you know where you want to take the call next, and you're not like looking at a fucking script or like thing, which is scripted, and then the person feels like, oh fuck, this guy's just reading from a script. And when someone feels that, they just close off emotionally. That's how humans work, okay? So once you like show them the problem, and then show them how like your thing will help them get to their goal, then you can just be like, and it will just make like getting to that 50K per month so much easier, man. And what that will do for you specifically, John, it will just prevent you from overthinking that much, and like prevent and give you that peace of mind, so that way you don't have to stress about where the next appointment is going to come from and how you're going to scale to that 50K. And then once you've done this, I forgot to add this as well. And then you ask them about like if they have any questions on that. So you just be like, okay, so you ask them that, because it's like you don't want to be just blabbering your way to the pitch. Okay, you want to make it engaging and make sure that they have their questions answered, because if their questions are not answered, you don't know what you're doing, right? You don't know like if they're okay with the part, and if they're not okay with a certain pillar of your pitch and you double down on that, then you just like fucked yourself up, right? So that's the pitch. That's all there is to the pitch. Like if you have conviction and if you follow this framework, you're gonna crush it. Okay, cool. So then we go to the price drop. Done with the pitch. Now you go to the price drop. You just be like, okay, cool, John. So the last thing left for us to cover is the investment. Are you happy to go with that? And then they'll be like, yeah, of course. And then you'll be like, okay, cool, man. So the investment is $10,000, and that's a one-time fee for 12 months or 6 months, whatever your program is, right? And then you just tell them like what they will get for the price, so that you recap the pitch. Okay, so you just be like, okay, cool. So the investment is $10,000, and that's a one-time fee for 6 months. And what you get with that, is obviously, as I mentioned, redefining and restructuring your offer in pillar 1, and pillar 2, creating the outbound systems for you and booking the 1 to 4 appointments that you're looking for every single day. Pillar 3, qualifying and nurturing the leads and making them show up, and of course their support that runs through everything. And then you pause. Done this, you pause, you let them digest that, and then pause for like 5 seconds max. You don't want a lot of silence, okay? 4 to 5 seconds max, pause. Let them digest, let them think, and then you're like, okay, how do you feel about that? Really important. We want to ask them how they feel about it, not how they think about it. Okay, at this point, once we've like created a lot of pain and like a lot of like problem, we've shown them the problem, we've created the consequence, the person is in a emotional state. So we want to ask them a feel-based question, because now if you ask them how they feel, they're gonna reply to you with all the emotions that they have in their mind right now. For example, if someone's like in a really painful situation, and if you've pitched them correctly, showing how you will solve that pain, then their emotions say, okay, this thing is worth it, I need to go. But if you put logic in this, and they're thinking logically, then they're gonna be less likely. They're gonna think, oh, $10,000, fuck, that's a lot of money. Do you know what I mean? Okay, so ask them a feel-based question. Cool. So this is the entire framework for a high-ticket sales call. Okay, first go discovery, then you go pitch, and then you go price drop. Objection handling. I think I would have to do another video on this, because obviously this video has been long enough, and I think I've already done a video on objection handling, so I will link that somewhere here after the video. Okay, so this is the discovery framework, and if you have any questions on this, put this in the comments and I will answer them. Again, just to reiterate the entire thing: discovery, ask them questions, isolate problem, find out their desired situation, find out the consequences of not getting to their desired situation, and then pitch them. Follow this framework for the pitch, and then price drop. By the way, if you want to learn how we can help you book more appointments, there's a link in the description that will help you do that. I'm not saying that you click it. I'm just saying that it's there, right? So yeah, that's the video. And here's the video that will show you how to handle objections and stuff. And that's that. Bye.